Thanks for choosing the TXC OVRT series magazine carriers. In this video, we're going to dive in the assembly process and get you started. So let's take a look at the bag that arrives at your door. Now, it's important to note that this is the standard set, so it includes the 3 TechLock mounting solutions. Okay, so this is what will be included in your bag that ships to you if you have purchased the standard set that includes the TechLock mounting solution. You'll have your 3 TechLock mounting solutions. You will also have your 2 handgun magazine carriers based on the magazine you carry, and 1 5.56 magazine carrier. Included will be the mounting screws and the serrated posts, the included Velcro to go towards the inside and outside of your mounting solution, and of course an OVRT sticker because we love you. The only tool you're going to need to assemble the OVRT series magazine carriers is simply a Phillips screwdriver. Now, I would suggest, kind of a programmer tip, 3 other things. 1 would be blue Loctite to lock down the screws once you've chosen your desired position. Once you've chosen that desired position, you're going to use a paint pen and witness mark those positions. You're then going to take the silver Sharpie and mark the lines where your carriers go on your belt. That way, if you remove them, it's easy to go right back in that same position. You'll notice with the handgun magazine carrier, you can choose one of the 5 slots for each screw and set up any angle you want, any height you want, any adjustment. It's all right there for you. And the same thing applies to the unique design on the rifle magazine carrier. So we're going to start on the handgun magazine carrier and get started. So let's move this out of the way. Okay, so this is all you're going to need for each handgun magazine carrier. You're going to need 2 screws, 2 serrated posts, your set of your hook and loop, and 1 TechLock if you purchase the standard set. So first we're going to pick which side and which angle we want to set our actual magazine on. So for this one, let's just say we rock it really low to have an even lower offset than what I have on my standard belt. We're going to flip it over, line the holes up that match the desired height, ride, and angle we want. So we're going to go to the maximum here, and we're just going to get started. Take a serrated post, press it through, grab 1 screw here, place it here. Let's get that one started. And then we will set the next one. Another serrated post. There. Check the angle and the offset that we want. We're going to slant that pretty much to its max, just like that. Double check. And we're going to go ahead and tighten it down to where it locks those serrated posts in place and it does not move. Now, once you have selected the desired setting you want, you can mark it with a paint pen and then come back and go ahead and lock your screws in with blue Loctite. That will never hurt anybody. And now you can double check, okay, is this how I want it? Perfect. That's about right for me. Remove that, and now we'll focus right on the Velcro. It's important to note to look at your actual belt. The outer belt is probably going to have, on most modern belts, is going to have hook on the outside, and your inner belt will be loop. So what you're going to want to do is double check by putting the loop on the inside flap, the actual latch here. Make sure that the loop is going to be grabbing onto the hook. That way you lose no traction. Once we've verified that, we'll simply remove the piece of adhesion and stick that on right there. This will be pre-cut for you. Verify again. Okay, and now the loop, the hook. Now that that's done, we'll start on the hook, which is on the external side. This keeps the tension and the locking mechanism all the way around the belt, so you don't lose any hook on the outer belt at all. You don't have any spots that get slack in them. So now we're going to peel this back, same way we did the internal. Apply that right here. And now you are complete. One of your handgun magazine carriers is done. All right, it's also important to note that the handgun magazine carriers are only going to require 2 screws. That is it. You do not need 3. It is not necessary. And you also do not want to have any spacers or any grommets between the actual carrier and your host mount. They're not designed for that. They're made to have those serrated posts lock right in and bind up. That's all you need. Now we're going to begin on the rifle magazine carrier. Now, depending on what your preference is on where you're going to have this positioned and what angle will determine how you mount it to the actual tech lock if you've selected the standard system. Now, again, we're not swaying anyone to run horizontal at the 12 o'clock. Not everybody's going to because it doesn't suit their needs. That's totally fine. You have unlimited options when it comes to the rifle as well. You can run it anywhere you want, as high or as low. It's your prerogative because it's your setup. First thing we're going to do is pick the desired landing point for the magazine. So we're going to set it here. Let's say we're going to drop it halfway down. Flip this over, pick the first serrated post position, just like that. Place the screw, get this one in position, and get started. Now, you will be using a total of 3 screws on the rifle magazine carrier. Put 2 towards the bottom and 1 towards the top. And that will be all we need. There's 2. And there is 3. We're going to check alignment. Make sure everything's the way you want it. And then let those serrated posts do their thing. Okay, I think we are all set here. Now it's time to add the same process for the hook and loop. Because my inner belt is loop, this will go on the inside that latches to the hook on the outer side, just like that. So you understand, it latches over and grabs the external side of the hook. That way we get all that traction. Now we'll flip this over and do the same thing for the outside of the carrier. That's for this spot. Apply it just underneath the hinge on both of them. Verify that's what we want, and we're perfect. You'll notice the same thing applies with the handgun magazine carrier and the rifle. There's no bushings, no spacers, no grommets between the actual carrier and your host system. They're not designed for that. The serrated posts will do their job. You don't have to have it as a spacer. We have the spacing and the offset set up in a very specific angle and standoff for both of them. Okay, now that you have them assembled and they're ready to go on the belt, just verify you have your actual tension setting that you want. So once you get them set, the bottom screw will give you that pop, that snap out of the actual holster. The top one is strictly tension, so fine tune that if you want just a glide, or if you want a pop or a snap, or you want heavy tension, just work them in unison. Once you have that set, you'll do the same thing for your rifle magazine carrier, and then you're all ready to go directly onto your host belt. This is what it will look like once it's mounted onto your belt. You'll be able to verify your positions, make sure the offset's good, the angles are good. Once everything is done, you'll just rotate the belt over, take your silver Sharpie, and mark the lines that are desired in those positions for you. That way, if you take them on and off, you can return that same position every single time and not adjust your index point. At this angle, you'll be able to see why the Velcro is so important. By putting the hook and loop on the outside and the inside, one, the magazine carriers are retained in a very tight fashion. They're not going to move, they're not going to sway, they're not going to adjust on you, fall out of position. They're always going to stay in this same spot, and that's really important. Now, the next thing is the outer Velcro. This allows the actual belt to host to your inner belt without any voids. There's not going to be any slack or spots where it's going to droop because every section is still maintained all the way across the board, and that's huge. Lastly, verify the offset that you want. So once you put the belt on, you'll see a contour to your body. You'll make sure your angles are correct and you'll be happy. You'll notice from the overhead angle, the importance of this offset we designed right here. There's a very specific standoff and gap in angle as it contours around you that allows an entire hand to get down and grab this magazine without being interfered by kit, the body. Nothing will affect it. You can drop straight down and grab this magazine with ease. And the same thing would apply with the spacing between the rifle magazine carrier as well. Okay guys, that's it. I hope this helps, and thanks for choosing TXC.